What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're picking up where we left off on this Jeep build, so stay tuned. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so when we left off last time, I had coated most of my body armor sections in Steelite, as well as my front bumper, and then we plugged up these holes in one part of my corner armor. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to grind off all these welds, see if I have to plug in little pinholes, and then we're going to get to coating it in Steelite. Alright guys, so I've got the angle grinder. I'm going to try my best not to go too crazy on these, just so I don't gouge the surface of this body armor, creating really bad gashes. Then it'll be hard to cover with paint, and try to get this as smooth as possible. Okay, now that that's over with, I've got everything ground down flush. Now it's time to let this cool down just a little bit, and then I'm going to sand it and then start coating it. So let's get into doing that. Alright guys, now that I've got the first coat on that corner section, I'm going to move up here. I have got some Moto-Built Cal area armor that I've got that mounts up right there like that. These are aluminum this time instead of steel, so they're a whole lot lighter. So yeah, I'm going to pop the holes in here and get these mounted up, and then we'll have to coat these in Steelite also. Alright guys, so I've got the final section of corner armor over there drying right now, and I've got the cowl armor installed. I've just got to wait for the other section to dry so I can get those painted, but that moves us on to our next project. So I sourced these half doors off of Facebook Marketplace, got them for nothing, but they are destroyed. So as you see, they used to be red, somebody decided to rattle can them black, and the insides are awful. So it was tan, and then somebody decided to do a very poor paint job on them and paint them black, and that's all flaking off as you see. But so my goal is to completely gut these and refinish them, and I've got new latches, handles, and a lot of more stuff on the way. But I'm going to do a full restore on these half doors. I'm going to bring you guys along with it. So I'm going to get this thing gutted, and then we'll move on to what's next. Alright guys, so now that I've got this door blown apart, I'm going to work on sanding this down, trying to get it all back to one color, and I'm going to coat it with a trim and plastic painter and see if I get it to look uniform and then sort of how the dash of my old Jeep used to be. So we're going to get to sanding this thing. Alright guys, so what I got to paint this trim piece is this Duplicolor trim and bumper in a charcoal color. So I'm hoping this will match my old dash and console panels pretty well, since it was kind of like an off gray color. So we're going to give this a try, and I'll catch back up with you in a second. Alright guys, so I got this first coat sprayed. It's kind of weird. It's super thin, but the color looks right. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll come back and I'll hit it with a second coat. But the way that it looks, I'll grab an old piece of trim here. It looks fairly close to what my old used to be. So there's a little side-by-side comparison of how that is. And it looks pretty close, so we're going to roll with it, and I'll do a couple coats with it and see how it looks after the fact. So I'm going to put y'all back on a time lapse, and let's get this done. Alright guys, so now that I've got a coat of paint on the interior part of this half door, I'm going to work on prepping the outside of it for paint. So I'm going to get to sanding this down and put a coat of primer on it. Alright guys, so I'm not all too crazy about a good paint job on the inside of this door. So I'm just going to do it. I'm going to tape off all these holes and then just give it a coat of primer, and then I'll eventually put a light coat of paint on this. Nothing too professional or crazy, just enough to kind of cover up this red, but it's all going to be covered up with that interior panel, so I'm not too worried about it anyway. So we're going to get to taping this off and spraying it. Alright guys, I'm at a good stop point right here, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, but I'll show you guys what all I've gotten done. So right here we got the half door. It is fully primered on both sides. So right now all I have to do tomorrow is wet sand this with 60 grit, and then we can spray the base coat. And over here I've gotten the inner panel for the door. It's fully coated, dry, ready to go. So that's ready for whenever we need to put it on the inside of that. But also what we're going to bust into tomorrow, I've got some Moto Built goodies for these half doors, so we'll catch up with that tomorrow. bust that box open, show you what I got, and we'll also get to working on this door tomorrow. So we'll call it a night here, and I'll pick you guys back up tomorrow. All right, guys, it's the next day, and we're back working on these doors. So what I gotta do now is I went and I picked up some 600 grit sandpaper, and we're going to wet sand this door to get everything smooth and get a good finish on it to get us ready to spray this base coat on there. So I'm gonna get into working on that, and we will pick you guys up here in a second. All right, so as you guys just saw, we got the base coat sprayed on the half door, and it looks great. So as you see, I'm going with silver again to match the old Jeep. So we're gonna keep it that silver color, the iconic silver TJ as I used to call it. So yeah, that's what it's gonna be. So now this is gonna dry, then we're gonna spray 3 coats of clear coat on it and give it a pretty decent shine, and then we're gonna cover it up with the Moto-Built half door armor. So stay tuned, let's get this clear coat sprayed. All right, so I got everything sprayed with the clear coat. It is by no means a professional paint job, but it will do for these beat up half doors. So as you guys can see here, I've got some little Sharpie holes drilled all over this thing. And what those are, they go to these beautiful things. So these are the Moto-Built half door armor. And yeah, so those are gonna be coated in Steel-It also, and will protect these doors. So that's why I wasn't too worried about a professional paint job on these things, because they're just going to get covered up with that armor anyways. So that's going to be our next project. We're going to move on to that, and I'll pick you guys up here in a second. Alright guys, so as you see here, I've got all of the red nuts put in, everything's ready to go on this end. I've just got to coat the armor panels and steel it, and this will be ready to go here. I've also got new latches and handles to go in here, so everything's ready to go on that end. And I've just got to finish painting the hinges, so everything's good there. So let's get into coating that armor and steel it. So I got everything pretty much put back together. There's a few things I'm missing. So I've pretty much got, I've got the armor panel on, I've got a door latch mocked up in there, as well as I have the inner panel roughly on there to get a look how it looks. I still need to put this latch in, as well as I got a grab handle coming in the mail and the little door stop down here. But as far as that, this door is pretty much whooped. So now all I have to do is to repeat this process again on the other side door, and then that'll be perfect. So this is going to wrap up things for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.